And welcome to another edition of On the Hash with Hatfield. On this latest edition, it is the final Thursday of September 2024, and glad you are all tuned in with us as we talk to you about the latest and greatest in the high school football scene of things. And what a wild and wacky week it was this past week in high school football around the 757 and beyond. Here, as always, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel with Cova Sports TV. When you hit that subscribe button, you'll get notifications when we go live with anything, whether it be our 757 Saturday Sports Talk program, On the Hash with Hatfield, our lacrosse, our field hockey, football, soccer, live games, and so much more. Hit that button and you will get everything you need when it comes to high school sports, local sports, and beyond. I want to begin with, and by the way, later on in the program, we will unveil our first. If you haven't seen it on social media, it's been flashing across our X or our Twitter pages, our Instagrams, Facebooks. We're also streaming on those platforms as well as VirginiaPreps.com. We will reveal and tell you why we gave out our first 757 Chicho's Football Player of the Week to who it went to, and our IL Giardino Coach of the Week. We're actually dropping that thanks to IL Giardino. Big thanks to them and Chicho's Pizza and some of the sponsors that make it possible for us to do these great podcasts and shows and everything with you when it comes to high school sports, and especially here with high school football. I want to hit on some of the hits that we ended up last week with. There was 5 of them, and then we'll have some interviews with you as well from a couple of the games that I went to. And a big matchup tonight in Lynchburg. It's Liberty Christian taking on Heritage of Lynchburg, 2 teams that are Class 3 heavyweights. They've gone against Phoebus in the past. Phoebus beat them 1 year. Heritage Lynchburg beat them another year in the state championship. Brad Bradley's got a great year, a great program over there at Heritage of Lynchburg, and they're physical. Got themselves a really hard-fought 21-7 win over Jefferson Forest last week. LCA, the defending champs, with 2 Clemson commits, as you'll see it scrolling across our ticker with the latest class of 2025 VA high school football commits, one of which is the bruising running back Gideon Davidson, the other, the offensive lineman who helps open up the holes and pave the way for him in Easton Ware. But that's maybe the best game in the state this evening, and a number of games around the state and the 757 being moved up because of Hurricane Helene as the weather causing havoc with the slate. I can't for the life of me figure out, and I don't want to go on too long of a rant with this and bashing or blaming or pointing the fingers at administrators and school officials, but for the life of me, I can't figure out how, if you're in a certain area code, whether it be the 757, the 804, the 540, the 703, whichever area code it is, how one district in your area has the foresight to see yucky weather coming, and the governor has issued a state of emergency for this weekend for our state. We can still play high school football outside, and that's all right. Yet your other districts around your area figure out, let's play tonight, move the game up. And by the way, Major League Baseball, same deal. Detroit Tigers, they were smart enough to see, let's get the games in, as I wear my Diamondbacks hat, hoping and praying with the fingers crossed they make it back to the postseason. But the Mets and Braves, they see a hurricane coming, and they don't have the brain power, the insight, the smarts to say, let's play a doubleheader, move the games up, as opposed to wait until Monday. And now you put the winners, whether it be Atlanta, the Mets, Arizona, Atlanta, Arizona, any combination of 2 of those 3 getting in, you're putting them in a disadvantage because you got to turn around the next day and play a wild card game, particularly if it's Atlanta and the Mets. Arizona has the day off Monday. We're just hoping to get in. I'm not sure we will, but I don't get this. Now you're going to have some of these high school football teams that are going to play, and I'm going to say it like this. I will be stunned. It won't be the first time I'm wrong, but I'll be stunned if we really get games in on Friday night. I really will be. I'll be stunned, given what the weather forecast is and what the meteorologists are saying. Now, they've been wrong before, and they'll be wrong again. And sometimes they're saying it's not going to rain in it, and I'm walking home on my walk in the pouring down rain when it says 5% chance of rain on my weather app. That's neither here nor there. But they're going to be squishing in games, smashing them in to play on Saturday, Monday, Saturday, Thursday. We talked about it during the offseason on our 757 Saturday Sports Talk podcast. It's not fair to some of these kids to turn around and play a game on a Tuesday and then play on a Saturday, or play on Monday and then turn around and play on a Thursday or Friday. They're not built to do this, to play 2 games in 5 days or 3 games in 11 days. I don't quite grasp it. So Chesapeake in the 757 and Suffolk, some of their schools are playing games on Thursday night, which makes sense to me. Other schools, other districts, other parts of the state are not. The ones that are moving it up, I give you an applause to get the games in. The ones that didn't, I'm not understanding it. But that's a big game out there in Lynchburg tonight. My second takeaway, and we'll be talking more about Green Run in the days to come up on 757 Saturday Sports Talk with me and Coach Young here on Cova Sports TV, as well as next week. Green Run's now got a 37-game Beach District winning streak. They blasted Cox last week, 34-0. And they're doing it in all different facets. They're doing it with the passing game with Kassan Farrar. They're doing it with the running game with Charles Jackson. They're doing it with the defense, which if they get a shutout against Kempsville this week, it'll be their fourth in a row on the field. They haven't done that since 1988 when someone on this podcast was, well, point of the matter is that's showing that their defense can come to play, and they held Cox to 101 total yards. Big showdown looming for Green Run. We look at Kempsville. They played them twice, back-to-back years, not too long ago in region championships. You don't want to look past the Chiefs and Gerald Cherry, who are well coached, and they're going to come bring their A game, especially playing against Green Run. But Salem, October 4th, Salem coming off a shutout of Bayside. That's sort of the Beach District game of the year looming the first week of October, not too far off in the distance. And Green Run's beach streak looks to be continue to roar here. We'll see if Salem could pose a threat. We'll see if Kempsville can pose a threat. But right now, weapons galore. Virginia Tech commits and Jaden Anderson and Knowledge Harrell on the outside. You got Kassan Farrar, the quarterback, who's going to UConn, and they look as good as advertised, even losing their record-setting receiver in Keelan Brody Adams and a bunch of other weapons there from last season's team. So they're looking good and very much a top 5 team in the state in Class 5, where you have the defending champs and Maury, who I'm going to get to in a second. You have Matoka, you have Warwick, you have Kings Fork. A lot of 757 flavor because Briarwoods took a surprising loss, a second one, to North Stafford. And Stonebridge is 0 for right now, 0-4. Hard to fathom. Maybe the team outside the 757 that looks like, and I know my 757 friends ask me, who's the team this year? Is it Stonebridge? Is it Briarwoods? Is it? Well, we've been talking about Matoka, and you see some of their commits that have been scrolling across the screen, like Dylan Newton-Short, the flashy wide receiver going to UVA, and Bryce Yates, who's going to Pitt, Caleb Williams, the defensive edge rusher, among others. Maybe it's William Fleming, who's been putting up some major numbers in beating Salem out in Salem, as well as Patrick Henry Roanoke, who they beat last year when they were the number 8 seed in the playoffs, and P.A. Trinnick was the number 1 seed. But looking good for a lot of the 757 teams in Class 5. We're going to talk to in a little bit here on the Hash with Hatfield, a guy that, and I said this the other night to Lee Murray from Ball and VA podcast. I said, you can take the boy out to 757. You can take the young man out to 757, but you can't take the 757 out of him. And that's Malik Sexton, who once played quarterback, was Eastern District Player of the Year on offense, Conference 17. We had conferences back in those days. You remember those Ironclad Conference, all these different conferences we used to have, the Atlantic Conference, all these different funky names, the Crooked Road Conference. We had the conferences. He was Player of the Year in the conference in the district. Malik Sexton, he's the head man at Glen Allen. He took over for Perry Jones, who took an assistant coaching job at William and Mary. Perry Jones, the former All-Tidewater Player of the Year, All-State performer at Oscar Smith, went on to play running back at UVA. Perry leaves. You wonder, is Glen Allen's program going to be in disarray? Not so fast, my friend. Malik Sexton has them continuing to march along, and they haven't missed a beat. And it's going to be interesting because the way the playoffs are structured, this is where I give the VHSL a little pat on the back and applause. You get them intermingling, the intertwining with some of these regions, different area codes, different teams. So the Richmond fans got to pay attention to 757. Tyler's got to pay attention to Richmond because they're all mixed together in that region 6A where you have Highland Springs and Dale and Manchester and Glen Allen, who last year lost in the first round at home to Oscar Smith and Western Branch and Grassfield and Lansetown. So you have to watch what they're doing to see jockeying where you are for seeding. And we're just a couple weeks away, folks, from having those playoff ratings for you on the screen on our ticker and a whole lot more as it's getting closer and closer to the midway point. Hard to believe. It feels like we just started yesterday, but we're approaching that point. Glen Allen, major props. 28-3 win over Thomas Dale. You'll hear from Coach Sexton in just a little bit here on the Hash with Hatfield. We'll get to Oscar Smith in a sec, too. One of the games I watched, I won't spend a lot of time on this particular podcast. We'll talk more about it and other video segments and write about it on virginiapreps.com. I watched the other night when I got home. Actually, I watched it a couple nights ago on NFHS, that Graham Union game, which I sort of ranted about. We need to have more of the passion in other parts of the state that they have out in Southwest Virginia. And that game was great. Big 4th and 17 pass play that Graham converted in the fourth quarter early. Quarterback Cam Bostic for Union had a nice 82-yard TD run. It was 7-6. The G-Men won. And Pocosin fans, you guys in Class 2, we've got you number 3 in the state right now behind Glenver, who's got maybe the best quarterback in Class 2, and Brody Doyot, and Graham, the G-men, who are number 1 and have won a couple state titles recently. Keep an eye on these teams because Union, who's number 4, has got 2 losses. They're not dropping this week in the top 10. You say, why not? 7-6. They're probably going to see Graham again Thanksgiving weekend. This is probably – I'm gonna take some heat for this. And tell me why I'm wrong or why I'm right. The best rivalry in the state right now, it used to be Hampton-Phoebus. It's Graham Union right now. That's the best rivalry in the state. In the state. I just said it. So there's other rivalries. Highland Springs Verona fans are flipping out. The Westfield Centerville fans are flipping out. But I just said it. Put it out there. You tell me why I'm wrong, or if you agree with me, you tell me why I'm right. And the number 5 hats hit that we had before we go to a couple idle thoughts. Well, it kind of ties in what we talked about last week. After the ease in which Maury just destroyed Dinwiddie 47-7. And Dinwiddie does not get destroyed like that ever. Billy Mills has a great program. They're super well coached. They're led by a quarterback in Harry Dalton, who's going to be one of the most accomplished players in VHSL history. He's going to Southern Cal. And they're a well-oiled machine, and Maury took them apart 47-7. But the way they did it and the way Hayfield keeps putting up 60, 70 points each week, no matter what you think about Hayfield, like them, love them, hate them, we need to get that matchup on the schedule in 2026, 2027 here in the very near future. So Maury's as good as advertised right now. You beat Wise, Highland Springs, and Dinwiddie. You wondered how they would start 3-0, if they would start 3-0. Well, they did it again and have proven that they are as good as ever and looking like very much the team to beat. A couple quick idle thoughts we get to. I mentioned Oscar Smith last week, 35-0, shut out Nansemond River. It was scoreless at the half. Had a couple of fumbles, much to the chagrin and dismay of one of the ball carriers for the Tigers who's getting some recruiting attention. You saw scroll across our screen earlier some of the commits they have. Alvin Trey Jones is going to Buffalo. He didn't play last week. They've got Jamari Deloach who's going to Cincinnati. Jaden Dabbs who's going to Army. Got a big-time class of 2026 wide receiver, and Travis Johnson, who didn't play because of the hammy issue. He'll be back soon in the lineup. Well, we caught up with Brandon Nesbit of the Tigers after that win, and here's what he told us. It's On the Hash with Hatfield on Cova Sports TV.
All right, here with Oscar Smith, running back Brandon Nesbit, 28 carries for 191 yards, gets a touchdown, also 12-yard reception as the Tigers get the shutout tonight, 35-0 over Nansemond River. Brandon, I know it was a frustrating first half, couple of fumbles, you guys are right there, but in the second half we saw the Oscar Smith football that we've come to all know over the years. What did Coach Scott and the staff say to you guys at halftime? I'm very upset, or they get you guys refocused?
Nah, we weren't really upset. Score was still 0-0, so we weren't really worried about too much. We knew the second half we got to come out and play our game. That's what we did.
You had some great stats these first 3 weeks for the team. Been the workhorse. Tonight you run the football 28 times. Are you enjoying taking all these licks, but also just running downhill?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Describe your running style for people that haven't watched you play before. What sets you apart as a back? What makes you a difference maker?
I feel like my vision and my footwork, my strength make me a difference maker. Like I got all that in one. I can't only just juke people. I can run over people too. So,
what was your motivation coming into this season? Obviously, you've been known as a pretty good back in the area, but I also would imagine that you want to be the best.
Last year I was hurt, so I feel like I ain't played my best. So I knew my senior year, my last year, I gotta go all out.
You're getting a lot of recruiting attention, are you not?
Yeah, I got a few. Yeah,
a few. Who's in the picture right now?
Marshall, VTech, Liberty, JMU, East Carolina schools like that.
You got some visits coming up? Are you going to check out some schools, some games? What's on deck?
I got a few, but I don't know when they coming up yet, but I got a few, though.
2 more on that, and we'll finish up. What are you looking for in a school, and what's the school getting in Brandon Nesbit?
I'm just looking for a school that feel like home, like not just a school that just want me to play football, but a school that I can get, like, a college degree from and feel like home.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, you guys win this 35-0. You don't have an A game. It's kind of like a C minus type of game. You're missing some key guys at wide receiver. How do you feel about this game? Did a good job, but there's still room for improvement. What's kind of your feel after this win?
I mean, I feel like we can do way better. Like, it's a good game. We beat them 35-0, but we can play way better than this. We started off real slow. I started off real slow. But once we got the clicking, we got our points on.
It doesn't stay slow for long. Brandon, BJ Nesbit and the Tigers roar to 4-0. Congrats on the win. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.
So you see it and you hear it. Brandon Nesbit ends up having a big night, 191 yards on 28 attempts. Does find the end zone. Could have had two or three TDs, and he's got the schools looking at him out there, the Marshalls, the JMUs, the ODUs, some of those Sun Belt, Mid-Atlantic, mid-regional schools here, or I should say middle of the Division I ranks of the Power 5, Group of 5, and Chris Scott and company, LaFonte Thorogood, Eli Harold, Giovanni Simmons, his assistants, that whole staff. They went to work at the break. It was scoreless with Nansemond River, and they didn't blink or flinch. And they beat a team that last year handled them out in Suffolk. And the Warriors have a very formidable passing attack led by Tyrell Grant that will be heard from throughout the year. They got a big rivalry showdown. They got moved up to tonight. Them and Kings Fork, Battle of Suffolk. Last year it was a double overtime classic. I was there for that for Jean-Pierre Belay kicking the game-winning field goal in the double OT there. And you look now, and we'll see if Nansemond can respond from that. Otherwise, they could be looking at a second straight loss. They still got to play Indian River. Could impact them severely in terms of the Region 5B playoff positioning, where they got to deal with Maury and Warwick, Kings Fork, Granby, who has not given up a point in 3 games, looking to make it 4 straight shutouts as they take on Booker T. Washington this week. Friday night, as you see some of these scores from last week, my goodness, 54-50, PH Glade Spring and Grundy. That's a game to be at, right? Friday night, I was at a game that involved the 757 and the 804. And one of the themes, one of the storylines thus far has been the 757 taking the 804 behind the woodshed. All right, I see St. Chris beating Lake Taylor, and I see TJ of Richmond beating Norcom 34-12. But Maury taking apart Highland Springs and Dinwiddie. Phoebus beating Highland Springs. Churchland coming from behind to beat Hopewell last week. I think it was like 5 or 6 wins for the 757 against the 804. Well, one of the wins that the 804 got was Thomas Jefferson, who we've got number 2 in our Class 3 state rankings. Some might not agree with it. Some may believe Lafayette should be higher. Some may believe Heritage of Lynchburg should be higher. Certainly defending champs in Liberty Christian, who's already beaten Salem, they have proven their worth as the number 1 team with that mantle. But Thomas Jefferson of Richmond needed a kind of a statement, prove-it win, and they got it. Last week on the show, you heard us speak with, I should say last week on our 757 Saturday Sports Talk show, Coach Eric Harris. We also had on, by the way, Oscar Smith, Coach Chris Scott, and their defensive standout, Narad Jarvis. Well, we caught up with a couple of the TJ Richmond Vikings dynamic duo standout, if you will, Rashaud Cherry, the quarterback, and Amare Gough. Amare Gough, the transfer from Buckingham. He's a speedster. Here's what they told us after the big win that moved TJ to 4-0. And they've got Armstrong in their region, who last year made it to the region final. That's going to be a big matchup late in the year, I think on a day game, like on a Friday or Thursday, November. But here's what TJ's stellar tandem told us on the hash with Hatfield.
All right, here it's a dazzling duo for the Thomas Jefferson Vikings out of Richmond. Amare Gough tonight and Rashaud Cherry, the quarterback. Amare with 180 yards receiving, 2 house calls, and Rashaud had a hand in all 5 TDs, 325 yards total. All right, Amare, you guys come to the 757. I know the 804 taking some licks against these guys, but tonight you were out to prove something. What did you guys show out here to the rest of the state to win this game in dominant fashion?
We came out here, we came to work, man. We from the 804. We game prep, we got ready, we came strong, we're confident, and we play hard.
Rashaud, you guys are starting to get little by little more and more notoriety as a team. Last year you had the undefeated regular season loss in the second round of the playoffs. Tonight, I think sort of the opening was your offense. Your defense had 3 shutouts. Did you guys take it upon yourself? All right, we're going to show we can score and play with these guys speed for speed, blow for blow?
Yes, sir. Right. Hold on, restart that.
Slow a little bit, or what was it?
We the whole game plan was to come out and punch them in the mouth first. You know, we punched them in the mouth first. We already knew they was going to tap. We knew they was going to be over.
What's the key to the offense? Because you had 325 yards, you had 5 TDs, you threw the ball, you run the ball. You're a dual threat guy. What makes you all tick as an offense?
Me, as the quarterback, I'm the captain of the team. If I deliver the first blow, the team going to pick up, and the energy going to pick up behind me. So I got to come out and be a leader of the offense.
Take me through the 65-yarder. You got a 90-yarder, but take me through that first house call. Did you guys know it was coming when it happened, or was the defense just didn't respect it? What happened on it?
I knew it was coming. You know, I got that dog in me, of course. Yeah, I felt it coming. As soon as I caught the ball, I just felt it. I just, used my speed and got up out of there.
The second one, 90 yards. I think it was early in the third quarter. This kind of go, you're going to take your chances with him, right?
Yeah, because the corner pressing, you might as well back up. Got 4-4 right there. Might as well back up.
Last 2 for you guys. How good can this team be, and what do you guys have to do to reach your ultimate goals this year?
Continue to be a family. They putting in the work every day. Yeah, continue to be a family, putting in the work every day.
And Amare, you coming over from Buckingham. I know you're excited to help this team beat maybe that missing piece and go further. What's it going to take for TJ to be playing in December for some hardware?
We just got to keep working, stay as a family, stay together, and we're going to be there. We're going to be there in December. Believe that.
TJ's for real. Amare Gough, Rashaud Cherry, they get it done. Congrats, guys. We'll see you soon. Good work.
Just some impressive numbers those two guys put up. 60 yards a pop, 3 grabs for $180 for Gough, and then Cherry to have 79 yards rushing on 11 attempts, 2 TDs. That's over 7 yards a pop. And then 9 of 12 for 246 and 2 TDs. Did it with ease against a Norcom team that's got a lot of playmakers, including the Penn State recruit Matthew Alton, and they're 2-2. Should bounce back against Manor this week. Should the Greyhounds to get a fairly decent seed, I do believe, in Region 3. They still got to play Maury, which is going to be a hard battle for them, and Churchland, a Portsmouth rival, but a lot still in front of them yet. Thomas Jefferson of Richmond, you heard the final remark there. They're for real. And you heard, I'm going to take my guy 4-4 on the outside all day is what Gough said. Cherry said about Gough. You love the confidence for that group. We'll take a timeout and come back with more here. It's On the Hash with Hatfield. When we return, we'll be talking with Malik Sexton. He is the head football coach of the Glen Jaguars, starting the 757 at Churchland High. That's coming your way here on the Hash with Hatfield. Make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button for more. And don't forget, coming up on Saturday, we've also got 757 Saturday Sports Talk, 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Eastern with yours truly and the coach, Ed Young. Right now, though, we'll step aside and come back with more here on The Hash with Hatfield.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
After more than 50 years of innovation, AstroTurf still leads the way. The inventor of artificial turf does it all, right here in the USA. We engineer, test, manufacture, and install the world's most innovative fibers and turf technologies, with over 30,000 tracks and fields worldwide. AstroTurf, powered by Sport Group.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever! The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger for a limited time, plus fries, drink, and a sundae. Yeah, this is not the time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. And there's bacon on that burger. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Now, for a limited time on the $7 meal deal lineup. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
As a lifelong local, avid waterman, coach at Kellam High School, coach at the Virginia West Shopping Club, also a member at Virginia Beach National and Hanover Ridge Golf Club. The 757 is a great place to live and play. As a seasoned realtor at the Bryant Group, I know I can find you the perfect home.
All right, we welcome you back to On the Hash with the Hatfield. We've got a special guest with us. He once upon a time had it all start for him in the 757 as a standout at Churchland High School in Portsmouth, then went on to play his college football for the Trojans of Virginia State University, now in his first year at the helm of the Glen Jaguars. We say hello and congrats on the 4-0 start to head coach Malik Sexton. Malik, good to see you. It makes me feel old every time I see you get a W because I remember you running around the field scrambling, making plays all over there for the Churchland Truckers. Then you went on to college, and now you're doing great things at Glen. So you got to be pretty pumped to feel the victory celebration after 4 wins here to start the year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Overwhelming, man. I think it's set in. We kind of like move past it now to try to keep my guys focused on the other tasks that we have down the line. But I'm excited, man. Excited about it.
As you should be. All right, it's something we ask players often after a big statement win, and you once were in those shoes not too long ago. But be honest with me, when you laid your head down on the pillow the night before and woke up, I'm sure you envisioned defeating Thomas Dale, but did you see it playing out as decisively as it did, 28-3? Because very seldom do they get beat by that kind of margin.
Right, man. I just got faith in my guys. Kind of the game plan, man. After we watched the film on that Saturday, and saw what they did offensively, defensively, and on special teams, we kind of knew, or we kind of like told our kids, like, hey, man, we're gonna win this game. Like, we got this. So it was before the night of the game that we kind of like had that feeling. Now, did I think it was gonna go the way that it did? In my impression, I thought it was going to be a great game, a back and forth, a shootout. Because last year this team beat us 27-7. They humbled us and welcomed us to 6A. They're a very good team, a very well coached team with Coach Tucker. Did I expect it to be a 25-point margin? No. But was I excited and happy about it? You better bet it. You better bet it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Kevin Tucker certainly established the Knights as one of the better teams around in the state, the 804, and even before him, the late, great Vic Williams when they won a state championship against the 757 team in 2009 under Vic Williams. Malik, what were the keys you outlined with your guys going into that big game, and what tweaks, adjustments did you have to make at halftime, if any at all?
So going into the game, we knew that we were going to be able to play a brand of defense that they haven't seen us put on film yet. The other three teams that we played, man, there was a lot of run under center, 12, 13 personnel, even 32 personnel, one team. It was a lot of run, right, heavy fronts, right? So we knew that, we know that in the box we're stout. We got some pretty good linebackers in Walter Brooks and Gavin Gallivan, right? And then our defensive line is very talented, very, very talented with Adam Ramadan and Jalen Brown on the inside. Then we had Jake Perini and William Ogbonna on the outside. We knew that in the box we were pretty stout, right? So we knew that the first three teams gave us a more than we could handle in the run game, and we did pretty good with that. So we knew that this week we were coming up against a team who liked to spread the ball out, spread us out, which is our strength. And a lot of teams don't know that we have one of the best defensive backfields in the state. Aaron Diggsbury, Tyson Grandison, Ahmed Kamara, Camden Tiller, and Javion Harris. Those guys, they play pretty stout. So we knew going into the game that we were going to be playing to our strengths, which is a true 4-2-5 spread-style defense. But we also knew that, as any team does, we knew that this well-coached team was going to adjust. And we knew that they were going to try to take advantage of some of the weaknesses that we put on film. So we knew the adjustment coming out the halftime was something that we hadn't seen them do. We knew it was going to be some kind of heavy front, tight front, but we were prepared for that, right? All week our kids said, well, Coach, we didn't see that on film. They didn't run that on film. We knew that, right? But we knew that that coach was a good coach as well, and he would see what teams were able to get on us on film, and he would sprinkle that in his game plan. That's exactly what happened. So we knew that we would be able to take advantage on the special teams because we saw a few guys on their return teams drop some kicks, muff some kicks, so we knew we would be able to take advantage there. And I'll say from 7 minutes and 30 seconds left into the second quarter on to the rest of that game, we watched our game plan flourish.
Love that answer, going really in depth there. What's it mean, Coach, the significance for Glen Allen to be 4-0 for the first time in program history, and for you to be enjoying this kind of success in your first year at the helm?
Man, it means a lot. It's the biggest win in program history to date. But like I tell a lot of people, man, Perry Jones had laid the foundation here the last 5-6 years that he was here as the head coach, and I was blessed to be under him for the 3.5 years that I've been here before now, to kind of like learn the ropes and actually being taught things that you don't even know that you getting lessons out of it and preparing me for this very spot, man. Perry was an amazing mentor and leader. So we knew going into it, whether he stayed or somebody else came in, we knew what was set for this team. We've been saying that since these kids were freshmen, the class of 2025 is going to be special. It's going to be special, right? So we do think that, this is the biggest win for program history so far, but we still got 11 more wins to go to make this thing as special as we really want it to be.
I want to go there with you. Did you envision back then in your high school and college days, and when Perry Jones was playing, you talked about him and Oscar Smith stand out, UVA, and then now in assistant at William & Mary, he was the head coach prior to you there at Glen Allen, that coaching would be something you'd want to do. And what drew you to Glen Allen first as an assistant with Perry, and then that opportunity when it came about to be the head man?
Football ended abruptly for me as a player. It was a lot of expectations that I had of myself that I felt like I dropped the ball on and made some bad decisions and hurt myself in that aspect. So I kind of stayed away from ball, man. I graduated in 2018. I didn't begin to coach with him until immediately after that spring COVID season. And it was one of my teammates who's now the recruiting coordinator and offensive line coach at Virginia State University, Chris Wilson. He kind of reached out to me a few times. Hey, man, they could use a guy like you. They could use a guy like you. You know your stuff. You're high energy. And I kind of turned him down. Then one day I was just like, you know what, man, I need to be back around football. I weighed out my options and tried to figure out what was missing in my life, and it was football. So that's what brought me to Glen Allen. I haven't coached anywhere else other than Glen Allen. And then when he said, the coach is Perry Jones, I said, Oscar Smith Perry Jones? He said, no, William. He said, UVA Perry Jones. I said, that's the same Perry Jones. I'll be there today, right? So once I met Perry, we kind of like hit it off. He kind of assumed that role as, big brother and mentor to me. As he knew that I was going to be a little rough around the edges. He just helped me, man. I don't even have enough words to explain the help that he gave me. And, going through some of these situations that I've been going through here, he's still helping me even behind the scenes now, in terms of the mental aspect of being in the chair and understanding that the pressure that's behind it. So that's kind of what brought me to it, man. Seeing how he operated within the role and how he was able to stay so calm, cool, and collected throughout everything. That kind of let me know, like, hey, man, if I wanted to do anything else with the game of football, it was to kind of like, do it the exact same way that he did it.
That's some fantastic, honest reflection I love from you there. Let's back it up some more, because before we move forward to some of your guys and what's on deck for the Glen Allen Jaguars here on the Hash with Hatfield, on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Virginia Preps, X, Facebook, Twitter, all over the web, Instagram too. You obviously do have roots from the 757s. We talked about being a standout at Churchland High School, Eastern District Conference, 17 Offensive Player of the Year when you were a quarterback, and then Virginia State. What are your finest memories as a player, A, be it at the prep and collegiate levels, and then B, Malik, and going back to that reflection, what as a player has helped you from those trials and tribulations, the good and the bad, into being a head coach? What do you think has taken me through the fondest memories when you played, and then what's helped you in this transition from going from playing to assistant coach to head coach?
Right. So as a player in high school, man, I had a rough start. I assumed the role after a very good quarterback, Willante Roscoe, when I was just a sophomore. I took over right after he graduated. And I had some rough starts. 3-7. And then my senior year, I'll say on the high school level, what stood out to me the most was my senior year. I was actually showing how good I really was as a football player. And we were 5-0 for the first time, I think, in like 50 years back then in 2014. And that right there put stuff into perspective for me, like, hey, you could be doing something special, right? You could be doing something special here. And then I'll fast forward. That took me to college at Virginia State, where I was blessed to be coached by some amazing coaches in Latrell Scott, Justin Harper, Byron Threet. And then the one that I had the longest was Reggie Barlow. What stood out to me the most was I've been around some losing teams. I've been on some losing teams. My freshman year at Virginia State, we won a championship, and I was just a red shirt, right? A rookie learning the ropes. But then as a junior, we went 10-0, undefeated, and won a ring under Reggie Barlow. So I think that year was the most memorable year for me, where I kind of assumed a leadership role as being one of the younger guys out there. I was a junior, right? I was a full-time starter for the first time. I split reps the year before that, and kind of assuming that leadership role. I was chosen a lot to address the team at the end of practice and say things like that. And my defensive coordinator, DeJuan Sanders, he was so hard on me. He was so hard on me, man. I think I understand it more now, because even after that season and being placed and pushed into that leadership role, I still made mistakes. And I made a mistake that kind of took me away from ball for that spring semester. I was suspended away from the team. A lot of people don't know that about me. I had made a bad decision. And once I was able to recuperate from that, my coach he was 10 times harder on me then. And in my senior year, I was actually dismissed from the team. It was right before the Bowie State game. I was brought back the week of Bowie State, but I was dismissed from the team because of my attitude and some of the things that I said to one of my coaches. And it took Coach Barlow to sit me down and say, hey, man, instead of letting you go and kicking you off this team, I want this to be a lesson for you and a story that you can sit back and tell your children one day, whether it's a coach, whether it's your own daughter. At that time, I had just had a daughter, right? He said, on how you finished and pushed through this adversity, opposed to how this adversity stumped your growth and took the best thing away from you, which was football. And I think at that moment, I knew that I realized that football was teaching me and giving me more lessons than just how to tackle and how to read an offense, and how to read a defense. It taught me work ethic. It taught me perseverance. It taught me a character, strong character. It taught me that I had to have it because it would be the only defense that I needed in the room to speak up for me when I wasn't there. And Coach Barlow instilled that in me after those moments. And I think those were the biggest moments that brought me to coaching. And now I see myself on the other side trying to coach my guys through a lot of those hard moments. And it's harder because Coach Barlow was coaching men. Right, it was easier to get men to realize those mistakes that they're making. I'm coaching young men, and at the earliest age is 14, 13 years old, where they don't understand the detriment of some of the decisions that they make. And me being able to, paint the picture for them and see consequences and results from not only bad decisions, but when we make the right ones. That's brought me to be in the position that I am now.
Really deep, and we appreciate all.
Sorry that I'm long-winded. I apologize.
No, it's great. I think people hearing that story it's awesome to get this from you. I was joking with someone after I heard the score your big game Friday night. I was covering Thomas Jefferson of Richmond and Norcom, another podcasting host. I joked. I said you can take the boy or the young man out of the 757, but you can't take the 757 out the young fella. Which you've got it in you. We love it. Hey, let's talk about your guys now in the 804 though, Malik. Dallas Chavis in particular. Let's start with him. You talked about some guys on defense like the Jalen Browns, the Camden Tillers, who we're going to get to and others, but tell us about him. 35 rushes for $198, 3 TDs. What makes him such a unique weapon for you running the football? I saw him last year in that scrimmage when you guys came down and played grass, but he's got some promise. Little did I know he'd be this good.
Right. No, man, we knew it all along. We knew last year was his first year on varsity, so we knew we had to work out the kinks a little bit. When you're the man on JV, sometimes when you come to varsity, you automatically assume that it's going to be that same way for you. But how I used to tell him last year, man, all these kids are just as good as you. You know what I'm saying? They're just as good as you, so you gotta set yourself apart. And I think he took that on, and he's one of the sharpest kids on our team, football-wise. Football IQ is through the roof. And what makes him so different than the average running back is that he is a dynamic guy. I call him the home run hitter. This kid can run out of any set, right? We can spread you out into 10 personnel and just have a 5-man offensive line without a tight end, without an H-back, and that guy can still find the hole and find a way to get positive yards. He makes something out of nothing. And what a lot of high school running backs are nowadays, they're kind of like one-dimensional, right? They can only run out of a spread. They can only run when they have 3-4 extra blockers. This kid can line it up in the I formation and run in between the guards right off the tackle. He can line it up in the spread, right? We can even flex him out at receiver, and this guy can make some big plays. So, and I think it shows on his film. He's very underrated, under the radar. Like you said, a lot of people didn't know he was going to be as good as he is, but I think Dallas Chavis, with this past week, he put the state on notice. Not only is he backed by a great supporting cast, but he is the real deal. And I think that's what sets him out apart. He has amazing speed, amazing vision, and elusiveness in terms of his physical aspect. But I think the mental is what sets him apart, his football IQ.
Yeah, that stuff matters. There's no question about it, as you well know. And tell us, we talked about, you brought up briefly earlier, Camden Tiller is one of those guys in your secondary. I know he's got multiple D1 offers, and I got an interception this past Friday night. And do I have it right? I heard or read that he had 4 pick sixes a year ago. What sets him apart in that secondary?
I'm selfish. I always say it was 5 because I count the scrimmages too, right?
Okay,
right?
Okay.
So if we count the scrimmages, he has 7 interceptions and 5 pick sixes.
Wow.
Right, yeah, no, this kid is electric. He's electric. He has a great supporting cast as well. The corner opposite of him is Amare Gough, right? And that's a good 1-2 punch. It's like having a speed on offense, a speed back and a downhill back, right? Ahmed is the guy that's technically sound. He's going to be in his position every single time. He's going to shut down his side of the field. The quarterback isn't going to throw there. Camden Tiller is that exact same kid, but he has that bait aspect, right? He can make you think that wide receiver is open and at the last minute jump right in front and make that play. That's why his numbers speak for themselves. He's extremely knowledgeable about his position and extremely serious about his craft. And I think that's what sets him apart is the kid is sharp. He's one of those kids that's real mellow, calm, cool, laid back, right? He isn't a rah-rah guy. But you never realize that he's listening until you sit back and you ask him someone else ask him a question, right? And then he'll repeat what we just told him maybe 3 weeks ago, verbatim, word for word, right? Extremely sharp kid, man. And I think that's what sets him out apart. He's just electric. He knows and has the confidence that I'm the best guy at my position on the field. I don't care who you line up in front of me. He's going to make it happen and find a way to come out on top.
That's terrific. In our final few minutes with you, Malik Sexton, head football coach in his first year at the helm of the Glen Allen Jaguars, the undefeated Jaguars at 4-0. They've got Douglas Freeman on deck. Tell us about some others. You hit on the defensive guys, and you got about 7 or 8 multi-year, 2 or 3 year starters on that side of the football for you. But there's always a couple of unsung players, whether it be an offensive lineman, a special teams guy, an X factor that helps you and have been essential contributors to your success. Highlight a few of those if you can.
Right, I'll start with offense because I'm all naturally as a defensive coordinator. I always show love to the defense all the time. But on offense, man, we're blessed to have some really good guys on the offensive line, man. Nick Zasef, who's a 3-year starter for us on varsity. We also have a young guy that came up from JV last year. He's a junior. And Nehemiah Ferguson, Clement St. Clair, and our left guard, really big kid, can move, really aggressive. Our center Blake Martin, who is also our 5-star long snapper. And then we kind of rotate guys at guard. But our starting guard, Teddy Bonham, is really physical as well, man. We got some big size. Out of all those guys, I think the smallest guy is 6'2", right? Biggest guy is Clement at 6'5". So we got some really big guys up front that kind of help Dallas get rolling. But we also have another running back that we've added, that we added in the offseason, in Deshaun Green, who was a standout at Patrick Henry a few years back. That kid is really good as well. He's a good change of speed for Dallas. And then our wide receivers on the outside, Javonte Winston, Leroy Lewis, and then our unsung hero. He doesn't get enough recognition. I think he deserves a whole lot more, which is Davis Fisher, number 13, our slot guy. This kid is a first-year varsity kid. Leroy and Javonte played up top with us last year, but Davis is the unsung hero. He doesn't get the recognition that he deserves, man, in the blocking game, and just simply in route running altogether. That kid is amazing. And just remember the name. He's going to put some guys on notice here soon. And then if I just to go and highlight our defensive guys again, man, we are a talented group of guys on defense. When I say talented, I mean extremely talented. All the outsiders get to see is the physical. They get to see those guys making the plays on film. But one thing that I know is that these guys are some of the sharpest football players around. And it hasn't always been that way here at Glen Allen. They put the work in and spent the time with the coaches and their position coaches to learn the game inside and out, learn the scheme inside and out, but also take a deeper understanding in their role within the scheme and kind of like assume it. I talked about those defensive backs, man. Aaron Diggs-Berry is one that I have to, tip my hat to because I've watched the progress from this kid from the 8th grade all the way to his senior year. He's our leader on the field as far as our defensive backs, him and Tyson, but Aaron is the vocal leader. He's extremely physical. He's the rover for us, so he comes down and plays in the box, right? He's that guy that's coming back to the sideline and tell me whatever his key is on that play, he's coming back and tell me, hey, coach, the guard did this. So the running back is lined up this deep in the backfield. Or, hey, coach, my receiver's only giving me this type of release. That guy is amazing. It's amazing to see the growth and see him play on the field. But as far as our defense, man, our linebackers, I give a lot of credit to because at one point they were the weakest point of our defense when they were starting out as 10th graders. And then we had Walter Brooks come out and join us last year when he transferred over. His first year was in the program. Walter Brooks and Gavin Gallivan are kind of like the anchors of that defense. They make things go. Those guys are extremely physical, extremely knowledgeable. They come downhill, shoulder square, great lateral movement. And then our defensive line, I think the guy who doesn't get the recognition, he plays with a very high motor, is Adam Ramadan. Adam Ramadan, 55, is a sight to see as a football player. 87 tackles out of a 3-tech last year. It's unheard of in high school football. That kid is amazing to watch. Right, he's amazing to watch. But the most scrappiest kid that I kind of reminds me of me back when I was at Virginia State, his name is Javion Harris. Okay. 5'9", 170 pounds, right? Undersized, but he has the heart to back it up and the confidence too. So our defense and our offense all around, man, is pretty stout. It's a pretty stout group of kids.
Yeah, you're doing big things if you're holding 4 opponents to start the season to 17 points total, and 2 of those running intricate offenses like Massaponax and Thomas Dale. There, yes. Last 2 for you, and we thank you so much for the time. Yeah, we thank you so much for the time. Last 2 for you, let you run. You got to get ready for practice in a game coming up. We can hear and see and feel that passion and love you have for the game and these kids in this program. But when you get a signature win like the one you just had, Malik, it always fascinates me to see how the squad does from there, makes it stick. Is it using it as perhaps a springboard? So I say that to ask, what's next for the Glen Allen Jaguars in terms of how good can this team be and what all can you accomplish?
Man, I've been preaching to these guys since the summertime. 10 and 0 or better. Nothing matters unless we're 10-0 or better. And not just 10-0 just to get to the first round of the playoffs and lose like we did last year. Not just 10-0 to make it to the regional championship. We want to make history, not just with a 4-0 start, right? That's good for the glitz and glam and for the people who don't know or who are outside of this program. It's good, right? But these kids know the expectation, right? They know the level of focus. I told them Sunday was the last day that they get to celebrate that win. Monday, we watched the film. We corrected the things that needed to be corrected, and then as of yesterday, we're already focused on Douglas Freeman that we have next week. We're on a bye week now, but we're treating this week as a work week. So we have high expectations. It's 11 more weeks to go until we get to where we need to be, and that's the expectation. We set the bar. We're not going underneath of it.
Awesome. And to finish up with here and follow up on that, I know you have Douglas Freeman next with some intriguing matchups against perennial contenders to follow. And for Ryan and Hermitage, how important whether the record finishes at 10-0, 9-1, 8-2, whatever it is, in your eyes, is it to get that number one seed and potentially home field advantage in the playoffs in Region 6A if you can achieve it in a region where there are usual powers like Highland Springs, Dale, who you just played, Manchester, as well as teams from the 7-5-7 like Oscar Smith, who's unbeaten currently, Lancetown, Western Branch, Grassville. How pivotal in your eyes is it to get that one seed to make them come through Glen Allen if you can do that?
I think it's great. I think it'll be a great opportunity. But last year we had home field advantage in the playoffs, and we still lost by 11 points to Oscar Smith. So I don't really want to get caught up in all of that stuff, man. Having a number one seed is good and everything like that. But we just want to be playing in the playoffs on week 11. When it comes around, we want to be there and be playing no matter where it is. We'll travel. They can come to us. We just wanted to let people know that we're serious. We serious and we mean business.
Well, hey, that's a fresh and great perspective to have about it, no doubt about it. Malik Sexton doing an awesome job in his first year at the helm of the Glen Allen Jaguars, the former 7-5 standout who played for the Churchland Truckers and also at Virginia State University for the Trojans. All the best to you. This has been a blast catching up with you. We look forward to seeing you guys down the road and hopefully catching your Jaguars in person on this playoff quest and perhaps a championship run too. And we'll talk to you down the road.
Yes, sir. Definitely want to add that none of this is possible without my staff, right? So shout out to my entire staff. They're making this first year for me go seamless and amazing. I appreciate them as well. Thank you again, Mr. Hatfield.
Of the Glen Allen Jaguars. You bet. We'll come back with more as we take a time out. It's On the Hash with Hatfield. Make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button right here on our YouTube channel with Cova Sports TV. We'll be back in just a moment.
Sir.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
Get ready for the Neptune Bowl presented by DoubleTree by Hilton on November 23rd, 2024 at the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. Tailgating starts at 10 a.m. Grab your passes for just $50. Gates open at 12:30 with kickoff at 2 p.m. Advanced tickets are only $20 or $25 at the gate on game day. College football only comes to Virginia Beach once a year. Visit beachsportsplex.com to learn more today and secure your spot.
And we welcome you back to On the Hash with Hatfield here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed the conversation with none other than Malik Sexton, he of Glen High School, formerly quarterback for the Churchland Truckers. It's now time for us to unveil our 757 Chicho's Pizza 757 Football Player of the Week. I just did 757 twice, as if you didn't get it enough. We gave it to you more than once here on the program. And none other than Kassan Farrar, the quarterback for the Green Run Stallions. See it right there. Congrats to Kassan, the Player of the Week, as he ends up getting this honor. Well deserved for him. Look at the numbers that he's put up the last couple of weeks and all season long, for that matter, not just the last couple of weeks, as Kassan against the Cox Falcons in that 34-0 shutout had himself a heck of a day, including 7 of 10 for 211 yards passing, 3 TDs as they blanked the Falcons 34-0. First time I think Cox had been shut out since the opener of 2021 against Ocean Lakes, for that matter. It brings his season totals to 30 of 42 for 685 yards and 10 TDs. So you should be getting something your way, Kassan, if you're watching this, or family members. I think we've got a plaque coming your way from our friends at Virginia Trophy, as well as something from Chicho's that should be in your direction in the very, very, very near future. So congratulations, Kassan. Well-deserved and well-earned. Also, our first ever IL Giardino Coach of the Week, and that goes to the man that's led the Maury Commodores to a 3-0 start to the season. They've now won 18 consecutive games. That's Daree McCain, 47-7, as they blanked, or almost blanked. They blew out Dinwiddie. And Maury to beat Wise of Maryland, 6-time state champ. Close battle there. They beat Highland Springs rather comfortably in the second game on the road up in Richmond, and that was nearly by running clock margin, 38-7. And this one, 47-7. They've outscored their opponents 105-28 in 3 games. They got Lake Tedder next, who had their number for many years, have won 10 straight, but now Maury's 4-1 the last 5 against the Titans, and they've obliterated Eastern District competition, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. I know people are circling that last game of the year, possibly a 9-0 Maury, a 9-0 Granby. Well, I think Coach Daree McCain's going to have Maury ready for it, the defending state champs. And Maury fans, I'll just say this, enjoy him while he's there now, because to me, if the right opportunity comes around, he could be destined for college coaching. And he's certainly innovative enough, and he's done a heck of a good enough job to maybe get that opportunity in his near future. So there you have it. That is the Coach of the Week, IL Giardino. Congrats to Daree McCain of Maury and Kassan Farrar of Green Run. If you want to nominate folks in the future, you can do so. Drop us a line. We'll put it up as one of the options potentially, and we'll do some polls, all kinds of neat things through Twitter or X at 757 Sports Talk 2 for the viewers, listeners, fans out there. Hey, you want to take some of the interaction? Mary Harkins chiming in. Watch Smithfield at Lafayette Friday night. The Packers are fighting to defend their winning record. Yeah, big one for Smithfield, Mary. Packers with Kyle Buggs at quarterback. Coach Tracy Parker's got them rolling. Kenye Martin in the backfield. A lot of good linemen that have stepped up. I was there on the Monday night when they played at Smithfield, and Lafayette beat them handily, but this should be a fun one. If it happens Friday night at Warner Stadium, we'll see if Mother Nature and Hurricane Helene get in the way, but that's the Bay Rivers District game of the week. And I think it's our game of the week on VirginiaPreps.com involving the 757 action. So we appreciate Mary chiming in. That's a good one to go check out. Tab Pocosin, not a bad one either. Both teams 3-0. Tab, Coach John Byron's Tigers coming off that 16-6 win over the York Falcons in their rivalry matchup. And Pocosin looking like a team that can get back to the state playoffs in Class 2. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of On the Hash with Hatfield. Again, make sure you hit that like button, that share button, and especially that subscribe button on our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel. And we'll talk to you next time right here on Cova Sports TV. Enjoy your football weekend, everyone, and stay safe, stay dry. Hurricanes are coming. Take care of your loved ones and your pets.